he missed out, so he was dropped for the third Test match over in at Trent Bridge. Shikadawan came in for him. Of course, Shikadawan's not part of the Test squad now. And then he was sent back to India. He wasn't even part of the fourth and fifth Test matches. And then he got a call to Afghanistan. It's only Test match in Bangalore. Spent a lot of time during the IPL with Michael Hussey, of course. Murali Vijay not only hails from Chennai, but has played for the Super Kings, the IPL champions.
Simon straight to extra cover for no run in. Summers first over with just the 2 runs coming from it. India none for 2.
Just talked about his batting, just to work with a mind like Mike Hussey. See the Indian crowd watching patiently. I think they're just waiting for Kohli, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I think they're not sure if they're going to see him in the second innings, given the selections that are up for grabs here. But
don't dishearten them that way. Sure, well, they're not listening at the ground, but no, they could be on their cricket app.
It's great to see so many fans in here as well. That lady stand down the bottom looks almost full, and up the top there as well. There's plenty of fans on offer supporting both teams out here. I think they're in here for one of them though, Gav.
Yep, the one and only Kohli. It's funny how Indian fans absolutely worship, you know, the cricketers or Bollywood stars. And I remember being out at Pune, and maybe it's the love for one-day cricket or white ball cricket. And just after the first wicket fell, the crowd started cheering Kohli, Kohli, but don't recall Kohli batting too many times at number 3 for India, especially in Test cricket. So it's just a fascination.
Great, isn't it? Yeah. I've just finished watching as well Beyond All Boundaries, which is a Netflix documentary, and for all the cricket fans out there, can strongly recommend it. Shot in 2011 during the One-Day World Cup. And that's a lovely drive from Rahul again, but straight to the man at cover, Uppal, doing the fielding. But the basic premise of Beyond All Boundaries is it follows 3 cricket fans throughout the 2011 World Cup as India hosted and won the tournament. 2 of those fans, one was a female cricketer, one was, is it Sabir Gautam?
Sudhir Gautam, yep. Sudhir Gautam, yep. The Indian fan who travels.
Super fan. Tendulkar's #1 fan, and
there's a Tendulkar super fan. There's I've seen a Dhoni super fan. I've seen a Virat super fan. No one else as yet, but maybe. Hey, unfortunate Prithvi Shaw got injured, and we could have had a Shaw fan.
Of course, and he's the other cast member in that documentary. Just 12 years old. They follow his journey as a young man, being a cricket fan and a prodigy within the country, and it's just fascinating to see all the shots of him so young and training very hard and where he's gotten to today.
It's a fascinating thing about India, that all the cricketers come from various different backgrounds, don't they? We saw those people who have seen the documentary of, you know, Prithvi Shaw living 70 kilometres outside of Mumbai's town or the main city centre where a lot of the cricket grounds are, and had to commute from, say, 5 a.m. in the morning, catch the train, spend about 2.5 hours on those crowded Mumbai trains where half the times he'll just park himself on his cricket kit because there's no other space, given how packed the trains are.
It's Coleman to Rahul again, just back of the length.
Then you have someone like, you know, Murali Vijay, who's come from a sort of a different background from in Chennai. KL Rahul, the man on screen here, both of his parents are, well, his dad's a dean at a university. He hails from Mangalore, not Bangalore, Mangalore, which is probably about, say, 6 hours apart on the coast of southern coast of India. His mother's also a history professor, so interesting. So he's come from a different background to that of Prithvi Shaw. Ishan Sharma's father used to have an air conditioning shop. So, yeah, they come from various backgrounds. Rohit Sharma actually spent a lot of his time staying with his uncles because the suburb that they lived in was a lot more, I mean, accessible for playing cricket, and that a lot of the schools around that area actually allowed you to play cricket. So, different movement. Ajinkya Rahane we might see him. He's the vice captain, of course. He had his father is an engineer as well. So different kind of backgrounds for each cricketer, and that's what you want to. That's the beauty of India, I guess. You know, various backgrounds, various cultures. We were going through it yesterday, telling a tale about how some of the under-19 boys, when they actually sort of got together in a camp 6 months prior to a World Cup 5 or 7 years ago, and he was a boy who'd come from the foothills of the Himalayas, not been exposed to a lot of English, and he was another player coming from south of India who'd predominantly gone to an English school, a Catholic background, so he only knew how to speak English, and here they were paired against, you know, in the same room and not be able to speak the same language, but playing for the same country.
Well, the worst it gets in Australia is usually New South Welshmen trying to communicate with those gruff Victorians. So here we are, here's Summers again. Rahul on strike. That might have just spun in his hands there as Summers' pace came onto the bat.
Yep, KL Rahul from Mangalore. Yes, his favourite sportsman, David Beckham. At Aaron Summers actually gone quite wide of the crease there.
Yeah, I don't mind that from Summers, because a lot of the complaints was that he was very kind of one-dimensional with the lengths he was bowling in that first innings. So just trying something a little bit different, and he was working hard with the coaching staff in the change of inning. Once again wide, ducked away from the left-hander. No run available as that one went to point.
Yeah, Rahul's just got to be careful. Sometimes there is a issue about Rahul's game, and is that he plays far too many shots earlier on. So he's just got to be mindful of that. Looking forward to seeing him bat, because he's very opens to batting for as well in the T20 game as well. So yeah, a little bit about him. If he's around next time I'm around in the commentary stint, and he's got to do that a lot more. He's got to leave the ball. You saw the mistake he made in the first innings, trying to drive the ball through the covers. Probably not the right shot. We know the pitch was under covers for good 24, 48 hours, slightly damp, but I'm sure he's had a long think about how he's going to go about his innings today. Still 42 overs left after this one, so it's plenty of time for him to notch up maybe a 70 or an 80, not out by Stumps, and looking good for Adelaide.
So here comes Summers again. Full toss, and that might be just intercepted on the rope. Just lost his control there a little bit, did Summers. Just a single, the result.
Really, Vijay, he almost sees this as a second lifeline in a way. Here he was not playing a test match for India, almost sent home from a tour. Prithvi Shaw was drafted into England, didn't play in the West Indies series, went across to England playing some county cricket, and he didn't get a bat in the first innings, and it's such is the game. I mean, it's full of opportunities, and it's also can be a cruel game as seen from Prithvi Shaw's point of view, and he gets another chance, and this is his afternoon. If he, like KL Rahul, probably not won't play enough shots as him, as we see a change of attack from Aaron Summers.
Opening around to the right hand. We've got a bat pad and a leg slip in place, so that's a good short one at VJ. Good to see this from Summers. Different tactics we see here on the replay. Wouldn't want to be in VJ's shoes facing young Aaron Summers bowling at 150 clicks around the wicket.
It's a good test for VJ of what's going to come next week. That's for sure. It is a practice match. You want it practice, abundance of it, and this is good preparation. So that's the end of Aaron Summers' over. It's also the end of me for now. I have Jack Clifton coming in.
Big thank you to Gav Joshi. And I know those tuning in to be absolutely mesmerised by his encyclopedic knowledge of the subject matter. I can confirm as well, he hardly even has notes. Such an authority on Indian cricket. It's fantastic to share the box with him throughout this game, and also fantastic to share it with Jack Clifton, who's just joined us again.
Yeah, afternoon, Max. Good to see India getting a chance to bat again here this afternoon, and as I've spoken about at length, importance of Rahul and VJ to get some time out in the middle, which they're doing at the moment.
So Coleman in again, and he's beaten him this time. Rahul didn't know much about that. A little bit fuller from Coleman than last over. Passing outside edge.
It's a really good ball, nice angle across him, and wasn't really sure whether he wanted to come forward or back there. It was KL Rahul. Just kind of just poked at the crease, and yeah, got a nice bit of movement away as well. So it's a really nice line and length being served there by Jackson Coleman, who has been around for a long time. He made the Australian under-19 side, but then kind of went off the radar for a while and has come back in the last 2 summers with the Victorian side.
Much wider, much better shot from Rahul. That's going to be for his first boundary, and India's first boundary of the second innings, and geez, he gave that plenty.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of shots that we've seen KL Rahul play over his Test career. He's a really good timer of the ball, and he just flayed the blade at that one, up and over the infield.
Tell you what though, Jack, it's not too dissimilar to the ball that got him out in the first innings. It wasn't particularly crash hot, and he was trying to be attacking, but this time he had a much better result.
Yeah, I think you want your players, your batsmen, to play their natural game, and that was a good shot. It's a good confidence booster for him.
Coleman in again, this time up-ish. Just in front of the man at mid-off, it did bounce. Much better line from Coleman. Probably wasn't there to play the shot, as evidenced by the lack of control. I won't mind seeing that, this young Cricket Australian 11.
Yeah, well, it seemed to kind of hurry him up a little bit as well. He wasn't really in control of the shot.
Yeah, as you see it, it's bounced quite close. This one whistles past him as well into the keeper's gloves.
Well, it kind of squared him up a little bit, but he continued with the shot as well, which is not something you always see from batsmen at this level. So maybe that's what you need. You need a little bit of luck sometimes when things are going against you, and he's been here for 20 balls now, but he just needs to stay in control of his innings and show patience as well, because it's 17 minutes past 2 local time. We don't know how long this match is going to go on, but there's plenty of opportunity in the afternoon for them to, both these batsmen, play a big dig.
This time just checks his drive, punches it to mid-off, so a couple of dots, boundary, a fair bit happening for Rahul. We mentioned that first innings for India, plenty of half centuries and quite a nervous one from Ajinkya Rahane, who looked very much like a man trying to really work hard to get himself back into form, and KL Rahul in pretty similar shoes at the moment. Just needs to be careful out there and make sure he gets through this period. Just the 4 coming from that over, and 3 gone here in this Indian second innings, and they're none for 8.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the makeup of this Indian middle order later today, if a couple of wickets do fall. They've got the scorecard in front of them. Heard from a couple of the Indian journalists that are here saying that more than likely Virat Kohli won't bat in this second innings. He had a nice hit out in that first dig, making 60-odd, and he's played in the 2020s as well, so he's in good touch. But yeah, I'd be interested to see who kind of goes up in that order. Hunma Vihari is one that is an interesting concept. Played one of the Test matches against England. Young player that has an incredible first-class average of 59, over 5,000 first-class runs. You've got Rohit Sharma, who could potentially come in there. And you've got VJ and Rahul out in the middle, but you've also got people like Pant and Pujara and those kinds of players. So looking forward to seeing if a couple of wickets do tumble, what batsmen come in and what they can kind of do out in the middle as a term in terms of maybe getting into this Test setup.
So here comes Summers, still around the wicket to VJ. Yeah, and you're right there. Compared to that first innings, Jack, at 3, it was Pujara who would expect to see there during the Test, and Kohli at 4. But looks like the batting order for the second innings is very much going to be about answering a few questions and sorting out a few bits of form. Rahane listed at 3 and Kohli at 4, although we might not expect to see him out there this afternoon. So have to see some wickets fall, Jack, in order to make that happen, which hasn't really been a feature of this match.
No, it
It's
hasn't.
only been the 20 so far falling in 2.5 days play, so definitely been very much one for the batters.
Yeah, and that's probably why India came in here and discussed having both sides playing 14 players, because it gives them a chance to assess some of the other players that maybe just kind of on that roster bubble in terms of being in that test setup. And they're not going to get much of a better opportunity than the pitch they've got it here at the moment. Without being disrespectful to the C11 bowlers, they're not haven't really been that threatening in their kind of opening 5 into the 6th over. Now the pitch is playing very true. There's no seasoned Sheffield Shield bowlers there, or guys that have international experience or anything like that that could trouble them. Yeah, so it's a great opportunity to build a partnership as well, because this could be the opening pair for the first test. I'll be getting from both those bowlers, particularly Stark. So it's a good little, I guess, acid test for them out in the middle.
Sure is. And if you don't know Aaron Summers' story, it is a hell of a yarn. So he's 22-year-old from the Northern Territory. Yeah. Impressed Ryan Harris, of all people, as a fast bowler after some good performances in the Northern Territory Strike League, and made his way onto Tasmania's list last year as a rookie. But his first playing time in the professional ranks for the Hobart Hurricanes in their season opener last year. He was clocked at over 150 kilometres an hour. And when the pace hits a bat like that, it's going to find the fence more often than not. As VJ hits his first 4 as well, and ruins Summers' maiden. Yeah, none for 12 in their second innings.
Yeah, cracking shot this. Just a little bit of width outside the off stump, and really VJ playing a really classy off drive there, or I guess a drive out through that point region. Wafted away a little bit, but when you give him width by the bowler, you put enough on it, and he's just managed to ease that one through the gap. Really well timed.
Yeah, absolutely. To make it look easy. Certainly has a fair bit of class about him, does Murali VJ. Pretty handy to bring in a guy with so much experience and a test average of 40. And your young star, and pretty sure goes down injured. So Jackson Coleman will continue from the Paddington end. Couple of slips, gully in place. KL Rahul on strike. He's edging, and it's along the ground though. It's a gully. He's just struggled a little bit in his last over from Coleman. Not sure which ones are going to swing and which ones are going to go straight. Doesn't really bode well when you consider it's probably going to be Mitchell Stark subbing in for Jackson Coleman in Adelaide in a week's time.
Yeah, that's right. And he's going to be getting that angle across KL Rahul, so he needs to try and develop some kind of plan to this ball that goes across him rather than just hanging the bat out there.
This time much better. Just out to cover. I guess the interesting thing, Jack, is you're pretty sure, only very new into his test career, but even just by the way he went about his work in the first innings, he scores his runs at a very quick rate. He finished up in that first innings with 66 from only 69 deliveries and found the fence with ease. He pulled particularly well through mid-wicket, and what that did, it really kept the pressure on this bowlers to try to change their tactics and really try and outsmart the batsman. But Coleman's just able to sit here in comfortable areas, and that's pretty comfortable for KL as well, as he goes aerial over point and all the way to the fence.
Yeah, really the shot, again, just far too short and wide there for Coleman, and with the angle going across the right-hander there, he just cashes in and just cracks that one up and over the top of that point region and picks up a boundary to take himself into double figures.
Yeah, and just once again, a little bit too much width from the opening bowlers for the CA11. Rahul happy to throw the hands through that. Pretty safe shot in the end, even though it was a bit of a top edge. Coleman's comeback ball, pitched up, left alone. The most impressive bowler is Jackson Coleman. In the early stages of that Indian innings, bowled well up front. He swung the ball well in the first dig. Picked up the first wicket. Was tidy in his second and third spells as well. 1 for 45 from 15 overs he got. 26, senior figure in this outfit, and here for the Cricket Australia 11, albeit only with a handful of first-class games to his name. His father played 194 games AFL football. And after initial inroads in the under-19 Cricket Australia squad and Victorian rookie program, he tried a career in AFL. Found his way back a couple of years ago and hasn't looked back since. Those fans will see him in the Big Bash for the Melbourne Stars. Played for games Victoria in the One Day Cup as well. Picked up a fifer this year. So he's certainly a man with a fair bit of ability.
Yeah, when he gets that ball swinging, it can be very, very difficult to play, particularly in the shorter formats, if he can get his line and length right.
Once again, has Rahul in 2 minds. It's a good end to his over. The boundary, the only one's coming from it for gone now. 7 rather, none for 16.
Yeah, that's the spot he wants to be, just pretty much just outside the off stump, with a little bit of movement away. Just has the batsman in 2 minds, and Rahul's played some good shots off the bowling of Coleman, but he's also looked a little bit troubled by him as well, as you can see here on the replay. Pitches just outside off and a little bit of shape away. And Rahul probably doing the best thing in there that he can, and just shouldering arms, let that one go through.
Well, so he's 28 deliveries, KL Rahul. And he scored 10. And 8 of those runs have been from massive heaves outside the off stump over point area. So he's left some alone. He's defended pretty well. Summers gets another over here. VJ on strike. Stay around the wicket. Bumps him, and that's a great short delivery. VJ did well to keep his head out of the way of that one. That's the best directed bouncer he's bowled so far today, Aaron.
Yeah, that was really good. It had really good zip behind it as well, but just short enough that it's almost hit the grill, or at least hit the shoulder there of VJ. Did well to get out of it. Again, picks it up quite late.
Sure did, but it almost reminded me of Jackson Coleman himself got hit by Yadav. He just didn't get up as much as we thought.
Yeah, so that's where I'd like Summers to throw in the full one there. He's bowled a really good short ball, and then he's bowled another short ball which hasn't nearly been as effective. I understand a lot of bowlers like to bowl consecutive short balls and then maybe put the fuller one in, but I thought that would have been the perfect occasion to at least try and slide a Yorker in on middle on leg stump there, rather than going again for the short ball.
Short to the ribs of VJ. So we saw him bowl a lot of this length on the first day from over the wicket to the right-handers Aaron Summers. It was quite expensive in the first innings. Leaked a few boundaries. Prithvi Shaw got after him. 1 for 95 from his 15 overs. Going at more than 6 runs and over. As we mentioned, made his debut for the Hobart Hurricanes and played a handful of games for Tasmania. He hasn't played any Futures League cricket this year, interestingly enough. Hasn't played a Futures League fixture for over 12 months as a young man, but getting a good crack at some long-form cricket today. So far, making a good account of himself. This time he does pitch it up, giving VJ any width.
Invaluable experience for someone like Aaron Summers that has played a little bit of one-day cricket and a little bit of T20 for the Hurricanes, but hasn't really been in a pressure cooker environment like this, where he's had to bowl consecutive overs, and that's going to be the real test for him. And he struggled in that first innings, going for 6 and over, but in, I guess you could say, his second spell or second bowling innings, he's done well, going for just above 2 and over at the moment. He's been pretty good. And that short ball that he's been throwing in, that has been almost demonic in how it's been delivered.
Here he is, VJ, once again gets his line right. 5 dots so far for Summers. And it's 2 maidens in his first innings from 15 overs. Love another one here today. Plenty of seam bowling options for the CA11 in this one.
Plenty of spin options as well with Fallon, Short and Upalo capable.
And that's just spoiled his maiden there. Big bouncer called a wide. I dare say they let a few of those go against some of the Indian quicks, but just let that one get away from him. Important now to keep his composure, Summers, and close this out. VJ able to get a single out towards extra cover, so good over in all from Aaron Summers. Just 2 runs added to the total. India none for 18 after 8.
Yeah, they've kept it nice and tight, haven't they? They say 11. Probably got away from them a little bit in certain aspects of that second day, where the runs were flowing and Kohli got on top of the bowling and Prithvi Shaw was scoring at almost a strike rate of 100, but they've kept things in touch here, and that's probably has something to do with both KL Rahul and Murali Vijay being out of sorts, out of form a little bit. They're scratchy out there in the middle. They're trying to find their rhythm and trying to find their groove, but it's been some good bowling by the CA11 boys as well. They put it in pretty good areas. The occasional bad ball, which has been punished, particularly by Rahul, but no shame in what they've been doing. Of course, Graham Hick, the coach of the C11 side, so no doubt he would have been pleased with the batting performance of numbers 1 through 11, and now would love his side to get a couple of wickets, or 3 or 4 wickets in this second half of the day, to put it in a boxing analogy, to get a win on points decision.
So Coleman to Rahul, cross him once more. Does seem really unsure as to how to play this left-hander, this KL. The man who's been a little bit short on runs, it's great signs early days.
Yeah, it looks like he's really wary of that left armour in Coleman, swinging the ball back into him, back into that middle leg stump line. But then Coleman's actually swinging the ball out, and his natural angle is taking it outside the off stump, so he's uncertain, playing away from his body as well.
This time, more confident leave. Have to see another slip in there from Rahul. Maybe we could get cover out of there and get another catcher in, just given Rahul seems to be a little bit in 2 minds. In terms of seam bowling options, Luke Robbins was good in the first innings. Aaron Hardy to start, 4 for 50. Jonathan Merlot as well can bowl seam up. And here's Coleman, drawing the defence from Rahul. Yeah, and as you mentioned, Jack, in terms of spinners, Dan Fallon's man from New South Wales picked up Prithvi Shaw, bowled him around his legs, which was great. Paramapul as well. Better than a part-timer with his off-spin bowling. And there you go. Thick outside edge flies over where third slip would have been and goes all the way to the fence. So once again, Rahul poking around outside the off stump against this left armour. Gets away with it this time. You see here on the replay.
It's just a risky shot again. He's just not in control of that. It's a wide ball. He hasn't really moved his feet across to where the line and the pitch of the ball is. And he's played with hard hands. You can see he's pushed at that tentatively, and he's been lucky that it's squirted off the outside edge and gone well away from the outfield. You take that as those as a batsman, but not convincing. Not one you're going to have in the highlights package at the end of the season. Well, that equally was unimpressive as well.
Good stuff for Coleman. Let's say Mitchell Stark's probably tuning into the Sixers game to see his wife Alyssa open the batting with the best man at least. They seem to be flying along at the moment. None for 97 into the 11th over down on the opening weekend of BBL, but he'd be pretty happy with the signs that Jackson's Coleman showing him against this Indian opening batter. DJ on strike now. Much more confident leave. So just the 4 runs coming from the over. It's after 9. India none for 22.
Yeah, when you look at that Sixers WBBL side, it's like something created from Shane 1 Cricket 99. It's a team of superstars. Perry, Healy at the top. Ash Gardner is brilliant. And then you've got internationals and Sarah McGlashan and Dan Van der Kerk and Manozana Cap. It's just players galore. Like Sarah Ailey's been an absolute beast for the Sydney Sixers as long as I can remember, as well as obviously for the Breakers. And there just doesn't seem to be any weakness in that side. If there were injuries, as players that are able to come through. So they're playing a Stars side. They're slouches. It's not as if they're whipping girls. This Melbourne Stars outfit. They've got Holly Furling there, moved across from the Heat. Annabelle Sutherland, a very classy player. Erin Osborne. McKinley Blow's got a lot of really good young talent there, but you're facing a middle order batter from Australia and the opener from Australia. It's probably only going to go one way if you don't get them out early.
Not wrong there, Jack. So we're going to see a change of bowling now. Aaron Summers will take a spell after his 4 overs. None for 9 for his opening spell, which was a very good return, particularly compared with some of his work in the first innings. And Luke Robbins batted well. Now gets a chance with the ball. 2 slips in place. This is up-ish. Falls safely out on the onside.
Yeah, very front on action Robbins has, which probably gives him the ability to swing the ball into the right-hander, but that was not a convincing shot whatsoever. It was tucked away in the air, and lucky there was no fielders in close.
And again, outside of off, up-ish once more, bouncing about 3 metres in front of Parramappal. Extra cover there.
It's like they're playing against a tennis ball, this Indian pairs, and a lot of balls have been spooned in the air.
Well, he's a little bit slower, Robbins and Summers. Well, actually, by comparison, he's a fair bit slower, Jack, but it's just changing the mindset and technique, the timing of these pair as well. VJ's looked great so far today. This time, much better. Racing out towards the fence in front of point, and that'll be 4. So, a little bit too much width from Robbins. Once again, VJ cashes in.
Well, that's the thing with these Indian batsmen, and I guess that's probably why the coaching staff and the fans get so frustrated, is that through all the bad shots and the way they throw away their wickets, when they're on, they're really on. Like that ball raced along the outfield there, and he just really well timed, in full control of it. But it's kind of, I don't know where they're after or Martha, this pair. Sometimes look good, other times look distinctly average.
This time, the defensive prod to point just the single. VJ looking solid so far. His first bat in this game wasn't called upon in the first inning. The injury to Shaw. He's called up. Rahul now on strike. Another single out towards the sweeper at point.
It's funny how things eventuate as well, Maxie, because we look at Murali VJ not being in great form at the moment, but if he came out and scored a century in that first test and India would have win, or it was a draw or something, even Prithvi Shaw's talents and the way that he's been playing over there against the West Indies, makes it pretty hard to drop a player that's in the form, so then you try and reshuffle players around. So he's got a really good opportunity now.
It's a better shot. VJ's dot to end Robin's first over. 7 coming from it. It's a good one for India. And then after 10 overs, they're none for 29. So that deficit still 157 behind the Cricket Australia first innings total. That young man did well with the ball in the first innings, well with the bat as well. Luke Robbins, he was the man unbeaten for the Cricket Australia 11. Finished with 38 not out from 82 deliveries. Found the fence 4 times and went over it once as well. And this looks like another change as well from the Paddington end. Left spin for the first time as we see 22-year-old Dan Fallon's coming to the attack.
Yeah, so Fallon's bowling his leg spin. Saw him take a really wonderful wicket there at Prithvi Shaw. He knows this wicket very well. This is his home ground. He's played a handful of games here. He made his debut, Sheffield Shield debut against South Australia at this ground in early 2018. The back into that 17-18 domestic summer. And actually got a caught and bowled for his first wicket. He's been a excellent fielder for a long time. And has shown that he has all the abilities. And now he's going to be bowling to KL Rahul and see if he can try and find some deficiencies in his technique to get a breakthrough. A fairly aggressive field, I imagine, is going to be put forward here by Sam Whiteman in this CA11. There's already one slip in place. There might be, looks like there's at least one fielder that's going to be going under the lid. It's got the helmet on and it's got some of the protective gear as well. So may as well try and be as aggressive as they can, this CA11 side.
It looks like he'll be coming around the wicket as well to these two right-handers, all Fallon. So I'll have to be aware of being bowled around their legs as well.
Yeah, well that's right. If he did it again, I think social media and print media and online media probably blow up, Maxie, if that was to be the case. So here's Fallon's. Rahul's on 12 and VJ 16. They both faced 30 deliveries. No wicket for 29 India in their second innings. Let's see what Fallon's can serve up around the wicket. It spins back sharply. It's short enough for Rule to be on the back foot and tuck onto the onside for a single. Just a look at that last delivery. Plenty of turn and revolution on that. You liked the look at that last one to Dan Fallon's. VJ on strike. This one's well wide and kicks back, and I don't know if it beat the outside edge, but certainly got close to the willow there of Murali VJ.
Yeah, if you want to know why he's going around the wicket, those footmarks out there calling his name. That was really well pitched.
Fantastic delivery. And the wicket again, and now VJ says, well, it might be the time to just pad up outside the leg stump with no chance of getting an LBW decision from around the wicket to a right-hander.
It's a good start and bowled well in the first innings too from Fallon. If there's any knock on him, it's been his consistency, but he answered that last inning.
So it's back and he slapped this one high and handsome out through mid-wicket for 4. Wasn't that short from Fallon's, but stepped deep into the crease. Did VJ, got under it, lifted over the infield for a boundary. He goes to 20, and the Indians are none for 34.
Yeah, I don't think they'll mind that too much, the Australia 11. There's a fair bit of risk in that shot, playing against the spin, very deep in his crease. He got away with it that time, did VJ. Looked good out there.
Fallon's in, VJ back and just tucking this one onto the onside. Good to see Whiteman going to spin early. We're only into the 11th over of this Indian innings and willing to throw the ball to his young leg spinner and see what he can do. This ball's thrown up plenty of air and he tries to sweep this one around the corner and then goes straight into the gloves of the captain, Sam Whiteman. End of the over, 11 overs gone, none for 34. Max Bryant's going to make his way out of the commentary section, and Gav Josh is going to come in with me as we dissect what should be another intriguing 30 minutes of cricket. KL Rahul 13 from 31, Murali Vijay's 20 from 35. And India currently none for 34 after 11 overs. Still 35 overs left in the day, and you'd think that India, desperate to try and get some batting practice under their belt, would want to bat for a large share of those overs. Deficit 152, Gav.
Afternoon. You well?
Very well.
It's good. We opened up the windows for the first time. We've been
nice. We've got a bit of a breeze. We can feel the atmosphere. I can already hear the Indians through my headset, so probably don't need the windows open. But nice to see them. They're very colourful dresses, aren't they? Yeah, Indian people. There's yellow, there's red, there's blue. It's like looking at a rainbow over there as we see Robbins come in for his second over and Rahul well and behind this defence back down the wicket.
Yeah, the saffron. Indian flag as well. Saffron up to the top. We've got the green down the middle, and of course white through the middle. I'm sure. Let's see if we can, cameraman, they might be able to find a Indian flag somewhere. I'm sure there's one.
There'd have to be one. Well, there is the Indian flag on the flagpole. It's just not waving in the wind at the moment as Raul punches that to the offside with no run.
Yeah, good shout. Maybe it's just, here we go, the Aussie one's going okay, up the top.
Might need to move that one a little bit.
Yeah.
The Indian one a little bit higher.
Yeah, the orange up the top, the white in the middle and the green down the bottom, and it's got the wheel on it. The circle on it, it's called the Ashoka Chakra. Chakra means the wheel.
I don't think there's anything you don't know about India as Raul punches onto the onside, Gav Joshi. And you know a lot about Australian cricket, so you're in a pretty good position there.
So how many stars in the Aussie flag?
6, I believe.
Yeah, very good. How many states do we have?
5 and 1 territory. No, 4 and 2 territories. Is it in Northern Territory and ACT? I think that's what it is.
So Western Australia?
South Australia, Tasmania, Victoria, New South Wales, Queensland. So
6.
So there's 6 states and 2 territories. So perhaps I obviously wasn't listening enough in primary school, but maybe the 6 stars represent the 6 states and don't include Northern Territory and the ACT.
You've got the New South Wales flag as well.
Yep, by the far side, yeah.
I don't think I'll be able to differentiate between a New South Wales flag and a Victorian flag. I don't think so.
I don't think there'd be too many people in Australia that would know too much about the respective state flags. The only time you really see them are at the cricket.
Yeah.
Here comes Robbins, and this is wide of the off stump, and Rahul leaves this one alone.
Yeah, there's also 2 on the top of the Bill O'Reilly stand. So, plenty of flags around. Bit of breeze going across the SCG. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah,
we're all right. Get a pass mark. This ball punched out into the offside there by Rahul, who's looking a little bit more comfortable against swing or seam bowling from the Cricket Australia 11. He picks up just the 1 run for that over. He goes to 14. Really, VJ's on 20, 12 overs gone, for 35.
Yeah, good start by VJ and KL Rahul. Much needed practice in the middle against, and I've liked that line of attack from Aaron Summers as well around the wicket. And I'm sure the Indian batsman would have liked that, because Mitchell Starc is certainly bound to test them with a bit of short chin music, as they call it. Sniff the leather. I was reading this really good piece about Michael Holding. He's playing in the mid-70s, of course. There's a young man, future Prithvi Shaw, possibly.
Well, hopefully he's born in Australia.
Well,
Australia's listening. We can get him into that test side eventually. Here's Fallon's again. This ball is hammered high and handsome into the stands for 6. What a shot from Rahul. Just steps back and slaps it across the line. Goes airborne for a maximum. He picks up 6. He goes to 20. India none for 41.
Yeah, terrific shot. Rock back, and you either got to hit them along the ground or hit them all the way into the stand. And Rahul chose the latter option, and he went big, and it went a long, long way back.
It's got to be a good feeling for him as he's on the back foot and feeling for this one outside the off stump, because he has looked uncertain during periods of this innings, and it was the criticism that we heard from the Indian batting coach at the end of technically the first day, but the second day, about he's finding ways to get himself out, and he's a man now, and he needs to take responsibility for his actions. Ball thrown up and dug out just to bat pad. So it's important for him to runs. He obviously wants runs, but I think time occupied at the crease and ball is probably just as important.
Yeah, absolutely. So that shot by KL Rahul, mentioning earlier how he scored 100 here. And it was actually the Pink Day Test match, and he'd come up across from the Melbourne Day, Boxing Day, and that was his Test debut, and wasn't the best Test debut for Rahul. He got, I think, a 6 and possibly just 11. And rather than the low scores, is the manner he got out from. He tried a hook shot while India was trying to draw a match, and tried to run down that neck and line after it had been dropped the previous ball. tried to heave-ho in the first innings he got caught. So wasn't the best debut, but he talked about that innings and he said he was so disappointed with himself. He needed a bit of positive energy, of course. And there were a few days, as he goes for a quick single, between the Boxing Day Test match and the Sydney Test match, and the reason being, of course, the 4 years ago we tragically lost Philip Hughes, and so there's a bit of a rescheduling, and normally we only have 3 days in between those tests, and they had 7 days. So in 7 days, he said, it was so difficult for me, and he said this is where teamwork became so important, and he doesn't recall in those 7 days where he actually went out for dinner on his own or was left alone by his teammates. So Virat Kohli, who was out here at the time with his girlfriend, now his wife, Anushka Sharma, who's a famous Bollywood actress, knocked on their door and they said, yep, I mean, 2 celebrities going for dinner, and they made sure that, you know, Rahul was invited along, spent a lot of time. Murali Vijay, Cheteshwar Pujara took him out to dinner. Ravi Shastri was in there taking him out.
That's right, yeah.
That's just a way about, I mean, we talk about cricket and a team environment and ensuring that every single person belongs. And that's what Rahul felt. He said, I started to get that in those sort of 3 or 4 days. And here he was sitting, doing a bit of sort of shadow practice, or what we call even Matthew Hayden type of practice, where you just sat in the middle of the pitch. And he looked around the SCG, and it was pink day, of course, the pink test match, and it was just these pink letters, C-A-N, can, which were just flashing up.
This ball pulled away backward of square leg, or attempted to be pulled back of square leg. And you make a really good point, Gav, because it probably gets lost a little bit, is the fact when you are overseas, you generally haven't got your family. Occasionally, family members will come over with the team, but for a lot of the time, you've basically got your teammates, and if you're not performing well, it can be very isolating. So teamwork and assistance from your teammates to help you kind of get through difficult periods are very, very important. We'll get back to that point in a minute. Here comes Robbins, as this ball is just tucked onto the onside for a single by Rahul.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So those 7 days, and he saw the pink letters absolutely glowing at the SCG. It said can, C-A-N, can, and he just said I can. Those words started to just go through his head. And as he actually walked towards the change rooms, he saw the honours board, saw names such as Brian Lara and Sachin Tendulkar and VVS Lakshman, just some of the guys who've got 100 here. And he said it was just amazing how you're...
Oh, it was a cracking cover drive out through cover point. Deserved 4. Only gets a single for it, but that will give him a whole lot of confidence. Murali Vijay, he goes to 21, none for 44.
And he walked in there and he said it's amazing how that positive energy transforms. I mean, it starts with all the negativity and the papers, the media's absolutely, you know, got stuck into you after Melbourne. Then that little incident of seeing I can, having his players, his senior members taking him out for dinner, seeing the honours board, and he just said to himself that no matter what, I'm going to get 100 at this cricket ground. Not the next time I come here, right this moment. And he did. It's funny, he says that he doesn't really look at the scoreboard when he's batting, and it was the last over before tea, and Mitchell Starc had the second new ball and he came around the wicket. The first one had swung in, the second was a short lifter that he sort of got his hands under, and the third one sort of inside edged onto his thigh pad, and you can sense there was a bit of nerves, and he had no idea what score he was on, and it was 3 more balls before tea, and Virat Kohli batting at the other end spoiled the party for him, because he said, well, you can get it after tea, you know. And he said, get what? And he said, well, you are 97 not out, you know.
Oh, no.
So here he was, I mean, looking so sort of absorbed in his game, and
Robbins in this ball, just defended back down to the bowler. And of the over 2 singles coming from it, none to 44, India trailing by 142. Vijay is 21 from 36, Rahul is 22 from 48. We have roughly 16 minutes until potential tea break, or they might extend the session again.
So the next ball, after being told that he is on 97, was just full and wide outside the off stump. Now, KL says generally the zone he was in that day, he would have let it pass, but suddenly he knew what his score was. He knew it was 3 balls before tea. all he did was just swing as hard as he could. Lucky enough for him, it went through the gully area, and he brought up his first Test century. So cricket is all about these interesting stories, isn't it?
It is. It's a game full of stories, whether it's we're recounting famous things that happen at particular grounds or famous matches and different things. It is just all us telling a story, and it's going to be Dan Fallon's to continue. 2 overs for 12 for him. He's bowling around the wicket, bowling into those footmarks. Let's see what VJ can do forward and defending. We've seen a couple of big shots off the bowling of Fallon's. Rahul dispatched him over the mid-wicket fence for 6. I wonder if VJ will continue in that vein or whether he'll just continue to probe defensively like we've seen him been doing of late. His ball ricochets off the pad. He gets a bit of turn from outside that leg stump.
You've got to be careful, make sure you are going to just throw your pad at the ball, that negotiate it, because if it just miss, you can't be out given LBW, of course, when the ball is pitching on outside the line of leg stump.
This is a Yorker and it's dug out onto the onside, and VJ picks up a single. Yeah, you want to be keeping your bat and gloves well away from it, because the pad is a very floppy instrument, so if it hits the top of your pad, it's easy just to bobble up and kiss the glove, and all of a sudden you can be on your way.
Exactly. If you're going to sweep, you have to make sure that you hit the ball. Where were you for that golden moment of the SCG when Shane Warne beat Bassett Ali, bowled Bassett Ali from around the wicket? Do you still remember it as a kid? Were you watching it?
Well, it depends what year it was.
95?
I was only a young'un, so might have just been a little bit before my time. Fallon's in. This is around the wicket, and he tries to thump this one down to fine leg as VJ. He was sweeping vigorously then.
Yeah, it's a great story, isn't it? That final ball. Just those words of Bill Laurie. Final ball, can you believe it?
There's been a few things in the final ball of Test matches at CG that have excited fans. Fallon's in. This one worked under the onside through mid-wicket, and they pick up another single. 9 for 47, the Indians, after 15.
Yeah, of course, Steve Waugh's final over boundary. I'm sure you remember that one.
It was, definitely remember that one, It's been some good memories for Australian cricket here. Michael Clarke getting a triple century against India at this ground.
Yeah, I remember that innings really well. And it was Michael Clarke's bat sponsor had finished his contract on the 31st of December. And New Year's Test match, here he came along, Michael Clarke. No sponsors, no stickers on the bat, and scoring a triple hundred.
It was like something from the old school, wasn't it? Yeah, it's there's been some cracking battles between India and Australia over the years. You think back to the 99-2000 summer, pretty green Brett Lee unleashed on the Indians, bowling 150 clicks an hour. Here's Robbins. This one drives uppishly, but to extra cover, no run. And then you also think about Steve Waugh playing his last Test match against India in that 03-04 series. Lakshman and Dravid being absolute kings out in the middle for the Indians. And then, of course, Michael Clarke taking those 3 wickets in the last over to secure a win for Australia here. So there's been lots of really great memories, and you just kind of get the feeling, Gav, that there's going to be more memories to add to that after this summer is gone. Yorker length is dug out onto the onside by Rahul for a single.
Yeah. Don't forget Steve Smith's 171 here. Last time these two teams played here, Virat Kohli scoring his 4th 100 of the series here. It was terrific to watch, and of course KL Rahul, as I mentioned, also brought up his ton at this ground. So there's always happy memories when it doesn't matter where you play around the world, and Sydney Cricket Ground, of course, it was Sachin Tendulkar's favourite ground. The SCG scored that brilliant 148 as an 18-year-old, and a lot of people sort of almost expecting Prithvi Shaw to repeat those heroics sometime during the summer. Let's hope the injury is not as bad as what we saw yesterday, and he can recover in time. And if not for the Perth Test match, then hopefully for Boxing Day you see the young man out there.
So Gav, what are the what are the Indian press outlets saying about this tour? As I see a wide ball which was chopped out to extra cover, obviously covering the Prithvi Shaw injury, but also just this tour in general. Because I did see a comment from Ravi Ashwin last night saying that it was all mind games, people saying that India were favourites in this series. What's the press back home saying?
Yeah, it's more sort of, I mean, it's such a crucial series because we are sort of touching on it earlier that a lot...
Nice ball cut beautifully down through third man for a boundary. Short wide and dispatched beautifully by Rahul. He's looking better and better with every ball he faces. He goes to 27, none for 52.
Yeah, there's a lot of expectation in this team. Virat Kohli and Ravi Shastri have always talked about we want to be able to win away from home now. It's been a while. India's record outside the subcontinent, or if you exclude Asia, exclude the West Indies, they haven't won a lot of Test series. I mean, last time they beat England was 2007. They've never won a series here. And Virat Kohli has been hell-bent as a leader to say that as a team, we need to be able to win those games away. And that's what this series is about. And they've had two golden opportunities from the start of the year. They went to South Africa. They were beaten 2-1. They were down 2-0. It's the third Test match. They bounced back. A lot of expectation to win in England, given where English cricket was at the time. Not many batsmen coming through. Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad, probably in the twilight of their careers, and a bowling unit. India suddenly had these bowling units. So, I mean, putting all that into context into this series, this is almost the third opportunity, because next time the cycle of the away tours comes, it might be in 2 years or 3 years. We might not have a lot of core of this team together anymore. So there is huge expectations. I mean, and add to that, there's no David Warner, there's no Steve Smith. You would never get a better opportunity to beat Australia. And most of the Indian, Prithvi Shaw unfortunately will be missing at least for the first Test match. But apart from that, and Hardik Pandya, who's injured at the moment, it is a really strong Indian team, and they've been here before. Ravi Shastri, and he missed out, so he was dropped for the third Test match. Although they did win the series, and Trent Bridge came in for him. Of course, Shikhar was not part of the Test squad down to the end, with Australia scoring 650. Then he was sent back to India. Melbourne, wasn't even part of it in Sydney, and they still managed to draw those games. And then he got something that a lot of teams go and play back in county cricket. Played for Essex for a while, and scored. There's a lot of consecutive half centuries. He's time to walk. Yeah. And that starts in Adelaide next Thursday.
It's time to bounce up.
I mean, made a few headlines as well. After he did say that basically came back to India, and they asked him, and a lot of the journalists said about his form, and he said it was disappointing to be dropped because there's no communication. A lot of the press and turned that around, went back to Essex, and he said one of the important things he felt his form came back. In context of that, because he knew that he had 4 solid games where he was not going to be dropped. There was security, and you wonder, I mean, just the way cricket is going. Of course, Kohli,
driven.
He plays all 3 formats.
Straight to the man, unfortunately.
You've got the World Cup coming up. So elegant is Murali Vijay. I'm sure India played those 4 matches, got some runs. Win that first series away. Just leading up before the England talks. We've got a half century against century against Afghanistan. It's only a Test match in Bangalore. Everything to bed by winning the series. I think it's more about expectations. There'll be no excuses tolerated. Not just, I mean, forget the media, but the hails from back Chennai, but.
And the over none to after 17, I guess it kind of hinges on his legacy as well. Obviously, he's going to go down as first over, Tendulkar as one of the greatest Indian batsmen to play the game. But it's whether he can win Test matches and make people stand up and respect him for his captaincy, not just his batting abilities as well. So really a tough ask for the Indians. But when you look at the,
I'm sure if they're going to see him in the second
normally served up in Adelaide and it's been served up here.
here, but
certainly that's going to play in the hands of the batsman.
Listening at the ground, but they
batting
could be
lineup
on
that
the cricket app.
have.
It's great to see so many fans in here as well. That lady stand down the bottom was almost full, and the top there as well.
Of course,
plenty of fans
one of the tests won't be at the Wacker, it'll be at the new Perth Stadium, and that's only had one first-class game, the New South Wales Western Australia game, and that was interesting. The fact that no team scored above really 260, 270. There was, I think New South Wales got 261 or 263 in their first innings. So that might be a pitch that, for the first couple of days might actually suit the fast bowlers a bit more. This is ball's cut upishly between second and third slip for 4.
And just
got
after
enough on it and kept it away from the fielders.
Started cheering.
Wasn't convincing, but White 90 picks up 4 more to go into the 30s.
Batting too many times at number 3 for India, especially in Test cricket.
Had the likes of Lee and McGrath and Gillespie and those kind of players. India probably haven't had the same kind of attack. Maybe the ledge is a little bit even now when they do, if they do play on a pitch that does maybe give a bit of assistance.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for India is we've seen today. I mean, today's a good example. Yes, Bumrah came back and rubbed up the final wicket,
drive
but
from
can they
Rahul
take 20
again,
wickets
straight
on such
man at cover,
classic sort of pitch? I mean,
fielding, but
does that bowling
the
lineup,
basic
it's
premise
much
of
hyped about
Beyond Boundaries is it follows 3 cricket fans throughout 2011 World Cup as India hosted and won the tournament.
But to take 20
Two of
wickets,
those
don't
fans,
forget Ravi Ashwin
one was
adds to this as well. But they need to be able to take 20 wickets, and we saw. I mean, this is a CA 11. No disrespect to some of the players. Harry Nielsen looks a terrific player and Indian fan who travels.
Super fan. Tendulkar's number 1 fan, and
so there's a Tendulkar super fan. For India going into the Test match. Sony super fan. I've seen a Virat super fan. Bowl out the CA 11
no one else
guys
has yet, but
how are they going to sort of unfortunate Prithvi Shaw got injured, and we would have had a Shaw fan.
Of course, and he's the other cast member in that documentary. Just 12 years old. They followed his journey as a young man, being a cricket fan and a prodigy in the country. And it's just fascinating to see all the shots of him so young and training very hard.
Tucked onto the onside in that gap
today.
In front of square leg for a single. Well, you look at Aaron Finch and Marcus Harris. They both scored plenty of runs. Victoria and Harris did the damage in the UAE, and people would love to score runs back here. Sean Marsh, I know he gets a lot of criticism, but he has scored a lot of runs at home for Australia. He'll know that Perth wicket like the back of his hand.
And 5 a.m. in the morning, catch the train. Spend about 2.5 hours on those crowded Mumbai trains where half the times he'll just park himself on his cricket kit because there's no other space, given how packed the trains are.
It's Coleman to Rahul again, just back of a length.
Then you have someone like, Murali Vijay, who's come from a sort of a different background from in Chennai. KL Rahul, the man on screen here, both of his parents are, well, he's
viewers tuning in to be absolutely mesmerised by his encyclopedic knowledge of the subject matter. I can confirm as well. Look, since the dismissal of Aaron Hardy, Fallon's 4 not out from 18 deliveries. Nielsen, he's now been out there for 150 deliveries, 151 rather, for his 94. Just be hoping for a few more, Jack, and potentially